Hello, I'm Sandra, and today's class is going to be a really stretchy routine, the type of class that you might want to try out early in the morning when you first wake up. Enjoy. For class, you will need your foam roller, a pillow, a stretchy band, and a hand towel. To start, you are going to need your towel rolled up for your neck, and then we will lie onto our back. You could do this in bed if you wanted to. Have the towel rolled underneath your neck. Your hands will be facing up for the ceiling, palms up. You let your shoulders get heavy towards the ground. Your knees are bent, feet are flat onto the ground. And just hang out here for a couple of seconds, letting your sacrum become heavier, letting your feet become heavier, and trying to take up space on the mat or the ground or your bed, wherever you're at, with your shoulder blades. Now, start walking your feet out a little bit wider than hip width. And you can keep your hips anchored down here if you're confident about it. If you're not sure that they're going to stay in place, you can bend your elbows and place your hands on your hip bones. Keep your elbows wide, shoulders wide. And then the knees are going to go over to the right side just a little bit so that you keep your hips in place, and back to center. And over to the left side again, only as far as the hips can stay in place. And early in the morning, it tends to be a little bit smaller range than we have. So just go side to side to where your hips stay steady. You can keep your eyes closed, you can have your eyes open, whatever you prefer, I don't mind. Now, very slowly, next time you go to the right, let the legs go over a little bit more towards the ground, where the left hip starts to lift off the ground. And then you pull back to center to go over to the other side. And you can feel that in your hands if they happen to be on your hips. If not, if your hands are out to the side, you'll feel your hips trying to stack one on top of the other one. Go through it gently, and each time try and go a little bit more, so that by the next one, maybe you're already touching the ground or close to the ground. Good, so you're just letting your knees go from side to side. You can think about your femurs rolling in the hip socket and picking up your hip as you roll over. Or you can just think of them like windshield wipers. On your next one, stop when you get to the right. Then you're going to engage the left glute to help you lift the hip over a little bit more, keeping the left wrist heavy. Turn your head over to the left hand, and then slowly disengage the left glute to unroll. Look back to center, knees back to center, knees to the other side. You can look to the right hand, anchor it down, squeeze the right glute to lift the hip up and over, and pull back to center. Repeating that 2 more times to each side. The eyes go the opposite direction as the knees. The top glute engages to help open up through the hip and maybe even through the abdomen. And you unroll back to center. For your last 2, open your arms out to T and reach through the elbows even more than before. Good. And 1 more time to each side. Great job. Come to center. give yourself a little hug. You can wiggle and then sit yourself up however you like. Go ahead and grab onto your stretchy band. Going onto your back, using the towel underneath your neck for this series. You're going to grab your band and place it over your hips. Wardrobe fix. The feet will be flat on the mat, knees bent, walk them out a little. Grab onto your strap about hip width apart, so you just take your hands right above the hips to grab onto it. Nice long neck, shoulder blades heavy. You reach your arms up for the ceiling. Elbows soft, very gentle pull where you pull the humerus apart so that you feel your shoulder blades take up space. Let the arms go back and let the arms come forward all the way down for the knees. And then you reach all the way up as far as you can keep your arms connected to your back. If you feel this going into your pecs, you don't pull as hard, or you take the hands a little bit wider. Good. Take your hands down to your side, take your elbows down to your side. Your hands are still reaching up for the ceiling. And then give your strap quite a bit of slack so that you can pull the right knee in and take the strap around the arch. Bring your elbows back down to the side and take your hands together so that you grab onto the bands with both hands. You're going to straighten the leg for the ceiling, not completely straight unless you're super flexible in the morning. I would prefer that you keep your knee bent a little bit, or maybe you can feel the band touch your knee. And from there, anchor your hips down, have your sacrum heavy. Start lowering down, like the heel's gonna touch the ground. And then take the hands back up. Good. And again, you lower and you lift. And you lower and lift. Grabbing onto both straps with one hand and then the rest of the tail with the other. Let's do a couple more like this. Now, take the straps onto individual hands, elbows still to your side, and same thing, you'll lower and lift. And this will feel slightly different. You're trying to keep the back of the leg connected. The back of the leg lowers you down, and then you just let the strap help you come up. Once more. Good. At the top, you switch your legs. Good. So, again, you're going to take both sides of the strap into one hand and then grab onto the tail with the other hand. Elbows are still to your side. You'll begin lowering down, keeping the sacrum heavy and controlling up. Use the back of your leg to help you lower and lift up. The shoulders stay open. Ears reaching for the back wall. Sometimes we like to look at our feet a ton and then we tuck our chin too much. Let's try and avoid that. One more like this. Then both hands to the band, elbows to the side, grabbing on with both hands to lower the leg and to lift. If you notice that your abdomen works more when you separate the band, that's a normal thing to notice. Good. keeping the hips as anchored as possible. If they've moved, that's okay. Just try and anchor them now. Last one. And then place both feet into the strap. Take the straps on the inside of the knees. Pull closer. I like to take my hands right about the height of my knees and pull towards me. Then both hands hold on together. You're going to pull them towards you, shoulders wide. And keeping the strap between the knees, you press out to straight legs and pull back in. Looking up for the ceiling, nice long neck. Elbows reaching out to the side to help you stay stable through your back. Good. If for any reason this feels like too much work, you could get more stretch through the back of the leg by just reaching straight for the ceiling and bending back in. You can also do a little bit of both. I like to do a little bit of both. Or even alternate. Alternating can help you gain more strength to reach out and back in without taking breaks in between. And then pull all the way in. Slowly let go of the strap. Grab your knees. Give yourself a little hug. Grab onto the knees and pull them into you and your elbows out to the side. Reach the neck long and then keep pulling in. And if you can, let's lift the head, neck, and shoulders off the mat. And look for the knees to get a little bit of a stretch, like you're turning yourself into a little egg. And then we lower down. And if that felt pretty okay to you, let's try it 2 more times. If you didn't like it, you just keep pulling your knees into you. So we come up and lower down. And then once more. Good. You can take the strap off. You can grab onto, no, don't take the strap off. You can keep holding onto your straps, nice and tight. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, roll yourself up with your straps. Let's try that again. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, roll yourself up. Okay. If that worked, great. If it didn't, that's okay too. The strap goes away. You grab your pillow. You also grab your foam roller. Sit on your pillow in a butterfly stretch. Where the soles of the feet are pressing into one another so that you feel your glute engagement lift you up. Take your ribs over the hips and then take your fingertips to the foam roller. Take a couple of breaths. Breathe into the side and the back of the rib cage. As you exhale, grow a little taller. Hold one more breath like that. Right leg goes out to the side. I'm going to point and flex your foot about 3 times. And then internally rotate, externally rotate, internally rotate, externally rotate. A few times. Good. Then let the knee bend and straighten. And then just let it relax. And hinge forward with a flat back looking out in front. And then you sit back up. And then you're going to round forward. And back up. Alternating, hinge forward. And come up. Round forward. And back Once more, hinge forward and up and around and up. Perfect. Switch sides. Pull that leg in. Other one out to the side. Now you're going to point and flex from the ankle about 3 times. And then internally and externally rotate through the leg. Oops. And then bending and straightening. Kind of letting the leg do whatever it wants to do. And same thing here, hinging forward. And then rounding forward. About 3 more sets like that. Good. Just kind of letting the spine lengthen. And then taking both legs out to the side so that you feel a nice stretch. Now, if you find that you're hinging forward, push gently into your heels and let your knees soften. You're gonna sit yourself as tall as you can until you find your sits bones. And by pushing into the heels, you might feel the back of the leg engage. If you find that, great, keep it. Your hands are gonna go just gently underneath your knees. And you're gonna pull one knee up and hinge towards it. And then you're gonna switch and do that to the other side. Now imagine like there's a wall behind you and we keep our shoulders up against that wall. If you've hinged forward in front of the wall, that's okay. Sometimes it feels nice, but let's come back up to the wall. Good. A couple more here. And once you feel even, you'll stop at center. Both feet will point from the ankles and the toes. And then pull your toes back, push through the ball of the foot and the heel to flex through the foot. And then let the feet relax. We're going to go forward by hinging through the hips and extending through the upper back. And then we'll come up by looking down through the foam roller and rounding up as tall as we can. And we do that 2 more times, hinging forward and rounding up. And 1 more time. And round. And then reversing, rounding forward, peeling away from the imaginary wall, letting it pull us to lift tall. And we round forward to reach out in front. Extend through the spine. Once more. Good. Keep the foam roller in front of you. If your hand towel is far away, go ahead and grab it. Okay. The knees. Foam roller stays under the knees, underneath the actual knee or the calf, the top of the calf. Legs together. Imagine that your ankles are made out of magnets that are pulling into one another. Then you grab your towel. Use the towel up against that wall. Towel about shoulder width apart. You lift the hands up in front of you like you're punching with your first and second knuckle. And then you start to lift up for the ceiling, keeping that reach through the hand. And then you bring the hands back down. Good. You try and sit taller than the last one so that it's even prettier than the last one. And back down. And we do that 3 more times. Keep a little bit of engagement through the back of the legs by pressing into your heels. And bring the hands up for the ceiling. Shoulder blades up and shoulder blades down. And again, shoulder blades up and shoulder blades down. One more. Keep the shoulder blades wide, twist over to one side and back to center. Over to the other side and back to center. 2 more to each side. Last set. Letting your head stay between the arms like a picture frame. And then the hands can lower. Foam roller can come out. We will use the hamburger way. If you don't know why that's called hamburger way, just ask. Underneath your ribs, walk your feet out, keep the knees bent. You're going to take one hand on top of the other behind the skull where you feel it curve right underneath her. That's where your thumbs kind of hook. Elbows within your peripheral vision. Push into your feet, finding all of your toes to go back as you inhale. You go as far back as you can keep your feet connected to the ground. And then you control back up until you feel your upper abs engage and you reach the crown of the head to the ceiling. And you go back again as you breathe in. And your exhale brings you up. If that's too slow for you right now, you can move a little bit faster and just keep your breaths long. Or you could play around with any kind of breathing you'd like. One more time like this. And then lift your hips as you're looking at your knees and roll down towards your heels a little bit to anchor your hips. And again, go back and forth a few times. And once more like this. Then you want to be close to your upper back, to the top of the shoulder blades really. And what we want to do is switch our hands, whichever one's underneath is now on top. Push into your feet. Keep that connection into the feet. Start tucking your pelvis to engage the glutes and the hamstrings. And then feel like your knees are going to reach past your feet. That's going to lift your hips up one bone at a time. Once that happens, it'll start to tilt you back. Let it tilt you until you're as far back as you're comfortable holding. You'll hold there. Start lowering your hips down for your heels so that your back extends in a supported way. Once your hips anchor down, you start to lift up one bone at a time, reaching the crown of the head to the ceiling so that you get really tall. That will start to make your low back press down for the ground. Use that to lift you up again for the next one. Knees reach away to tilt you back. As you tilt, you reach through the crown of the head and the elbows. You lower the hips down for the heels to round back up. And then 2 more sets like that. Moving at whatever pace feels best for you. Allowing the spine to continue moving at all times. And then once you finish one more, you can come on out here, roll to your side to get the foam roller underneath you. Top hip lengthens away to feel your underneath side activate. Hand behind the head. Other one can go back there as well, or onto the hip, whatever you need for today. Heels will stay together for the knee to come up and then you lower. You will only lift as high as you can keep your hips stacked. We're only doing 5 today. So 2 more times. Keep the knees together and then pick up the heel and lower. Again for 5. So you have 3 more. And 2. After you finish this one, start alternating where the knees go up first and then the heel goes up next. That's 1. Good. 2 more sets. The full leg comes up and it lowers. Again, lifting and lowering. 3 more times. 2. Staying up on the next one to straighten the leg and bend. 4. 3. The knee stays in the same spot the entire time. 2. And 1. Once the knee bends, it lowers down, and we go on to the other side. So again, the foam roller goes underneath the rib cage, knees stacked, hand under the head, push down to feel your side engage, lengthen that top hip to feel your underneath side, hand behind the head or the hip, whatever feels best for you today. And then lifting the top hip. That's why. Okay. Keeping the heels together for the knee to come up and lower and lift and lower. 3 more. And 2. 1 more. Going to the heel. Good. 3 more. Last 2. 1 more. Alternate. Knee comes up. Heel comes up. Knee comes up. And then the heel. Externally rotating. Internally rotating. Squeezing the heels, pulling away. I have lost count. Hopefully that's 5. And then the knee comes all the way up and then back down. Letting the femur just move in the hip socket. Good. It's like the femur, the upper leg bone, is the lever that lifts and lowers. And then keeping your leg up. Knee stays in place to straighten the leg and bend. Again. And bend. For 3, 2, and once more. Lower the knee. You can sit yourself up. I hope you got to try those out today. Have fun.